Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Romm's Repertoire, this time Attacks Edition. Today I want to share with you some ways that I've found to create strong and secure attacks on the trumpet, not only with my students, but in my own playing. Of course, we might need to amend these a little bit in the extreme upper and extreme lower registers, but for the most part I think you'll like the direction we're going. So one of the misconceptions that I've found is that we need to do all of our practicing on the horn. This is not true. In fact, most of what I will show you today actually is off the horn that you can apply directly to your practice on the horn. Now, if you consult any of the big method books like Arben's or St. Jacome or Schubrück or Rubank or Schrubank, we find the same syllable seems to show up two or two, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But I think a lot gets lost in writing. What I'm getting at is that it's brilliant in its simplicity. Simply this. Now, what's different than saying two? Two? You notice the difference between these two is that my lips move when I say two, like the English language, we say one, two. We're moving a lot, right? But when we say two, the lips stay firm exactly where they are, and this creates a very open pathway for the air to pass through. Now this is the most important point. Keep the tongue out of the way. We think about attacks and tonguing as in the actual action of the tongue, but I like to think of the air column as same speed in, same speed out. You notice when we start changing the syllable, the actual air sound changes too. Now I'm still keeping my lips firm and round, but the tongue is moving up and down, and you notice that the sound of the air escaping my lips changes as well. So that said, we can make a very strong attack and keep the air consistent, and the trumpet will do the majority of the work for us. Now what you are not seeing is on the inside of my mouth, I am actually trying to keep my tongue out of the way when I breathe in, and for as long as possible, keep my tongue from traveling up right before I say do or tu. So in essence, engage the tongue only absolutely when necessary, not before, not after, otherwise that's where the coordination stuff happens. Wait until the last possible moment, say two, and then get the tongue out of the way and keep the air strong and consistent all the way through. Probably many of you have heard of the water faucet analogy, where the airstream being your water going down and you're running your finger through the running water. This is a very similar idea, but I want to think of it more like train tracks. Right? So this idea. So it should be very simple. Breathe in, keep the tongue out of the way until the last possible moment, and say two. We don't want to change too much in our setup before we play, otherwise that changes the sound entirely. Many teachers might disagree with me very strongly on a very fundamental level there. I like to believe that it's more about getting the tongue out of the way so that the air can pass through. It's not about the tongue necessarily, it's about getting the air to pass through so that the sound carries. Yes, of course we want a firm attack, but we don't do this by manipulating everything else. So as little motion outside of as possible. Now, once you have a good sense of when to release the air, remember it's an air release, not a push or an attack necessarily. That's just the nomenclature that has been attached to it for a long time. Attacks. It has to be very muscular, right? In fact, I think the opposite. Think releasing. Why? So we can keep relaxed and we don't stress out more than necessary. Now, the beautiful thing about practicing this off the trumpet is that the airflow will tell us everything we need to know. If you're not really sure what you're hearing, record yourself and listen back. If you hear a difference between tu and tu, or that transfers very strangely to the trumpet. If we're hearing that, you're probably changing too much. So eliminate as many of those variables as possible. Keep your lips exactly where they are, let them vibrate, Get the tongue out of the way so that a straight air column can carry the sound for you. You don't have to work that hard. So it's a 3-step process that we wrap into one motion. Air in, release with the tongue, consistent air out. Get the tongue out of the way. So in one motion it looks like this. So I'm aiming for keeping also my body straight too. I don't need to go no extra motion. Efficiency. I want to thank all of you for watching this all the way through. I hope this has been of some help. Of course, if these ideas don't match up with what your teacher or what something that you've heard is, that's okay. Whatever sounds best, do that. All right. All I want to do is give you some ideas that hopefully at some point will be of some use to either you or your students. If there are any other challenges that you have, please let me know. I'll be happy to put out a video on how to approach it. Take care, everybody.